Gurcharan Singh. My mother was a deeply religious person, but my father used to be involved in the Naxalite movement. From one aspect, the Naxalites were justified, as they were fighting for the downtrodden. But, as they were atheists, I always thought the ideology was incomplete. Without God, how could they have achieved any real change? My father used to talk with me and my friends about many things like this. As for me, I became involved in the Khalistan movement through my close friend Ajmer Singh Ladiwal. Another friend of his got martyred in the struggle, and Ladiwal had to go into hiding. For this, he came to me, and my house was a safe hiding place for him. He used to come to my dormitory room at college too. Ladiwal was a deeply devout Sikh, and he had a profound intellect. In conversing with him, I learned so much, and I felt the pull of the mission for which he was working. The biggest attraction for me was that, although Ladiwal was living through the rigors of a very strenuous underground life, he was a baptized Sikh, and his commitment to Guru was total. His tremendous energy went to Guru and to the movement, both. Ajmer Singh Ladiwal was also a very moral person. One of the things characteristic of him was that he always gave a warning. He openly challenged somebody before punishing him for his misdeeds. One important case involved the station house officer of Bagabarana, who was a Hindu. This SHO had insulted Ladiwal's father, he had pulled his beard and humiliated him. So Ajmer challenged him. "I'll kill you," he said. That SHO accepted his challenge and retorted, "You are my prey, wherever you are, I will hunt you down and get you." But Ajmer Singh Ladiwal killed him right in front of the police station, in full view of everybody. My friend was very brave. He always gave people a chance to change, if they were behaving in an inappropriate way. He gave them 2 warnings, 3 warnings. But when they refused to change, he had the courage to finish them off. I will tell you one other story about the high values of Ajmer Singh Ladiwal. One of his friends had a love affair with a girl from the untouchable class. It was not genuine love actually, I mean the girl was in love with him but he was just playing around. But Ladiwal told him, "You have no right to fool around with the sentiments of that girl. Either you marry her, or I'll kill you." The friend said, "How can I marry her, she is of the lowest class." And Ladiwal said, "When you started fooling around with her, was she of the high class then?" Anyway, the friend did marry that untouchable girl, and Ladiwal paid all the marriage expenses, the dowry that should have come from her side and all. They are still living happily. Ladiwal eventually became the Lieutenant General of the Khalistan Liberation Force, under Bhai Avtar Singh Brahma. Bhai Gurcharan Singh Bud Singh Wala was a lieutenant general with him. It was the policy that before anybody went for any action, the High Command would discuss it among themselves, whether a thing was morally right or not. The only criterion they used was Sikh values. Never was anything that went against Sikh values decided. The first time I got arrested, I wasn't even really active in the movement. Some students from Punjabi University had told under torture, that I might know where Ajmer Singh Ladiwal was, so I was picked up after practice one day. I was thrown into the back of a jeep and taken to headquarters in Ludhiana. While they were driving the jeep, I was lying on the floor with my hands tied behind my back, and the officers were kicking me and pushing me around with their rifle butts. When we got to the headquarters, they took my sword away and stripped me naked, held me by the hair and started slapping me. The station house officer was giving all the orders for this. He told the men to make me lie down on floor and to put a wooden roller on my thighs. 4 men were standing on it, and the SHO sat on a chair watching this. He was saying, "Where is Ajmer? Where is Ajmer?" I said honestly that I was his friend, but I didn't know his whereabouts at the moment. The SHO said, "Don't worry. After some time you will tell us where he is." After those 4 people got off the roller, they tied my hands behind my back and hung me upside down from the ceiling. When I became so numb that I passed out, they would put me down and give me a massage until I came back to consciousness. Then they would repeat the same thing again, hanging upside down and so on. But I was determined that come what may, I would not tell anything more about Lottie Wall. By this time the news of my arrest had spread around my college, and eventually the director and vice-chancellor of the university came. I was told to quickly get dressed, and though my whole body was aching and I was semi-conscious, they took me away from that place. As we left, that SHO said, "This time you got away, but next time you won't." I then continued to give shelter to militants, but I wasn't doing anything else. One day I was on a bus that got stopped at a CRPF checkpost. The guards pushed their rifle butts at me and made me get down from the bus, and I was taken once again to the police post. Again I was stripped naked, my turban was torn off, and I was beaten. Then I was released. I felt so much pain after that, I mean not physical pain but emotional pain. If we are not safe traveling from one place to another, what are our lives worth? At the checkposts clean-shaven Hindus can pass freely, but somebody with a beard and a turban is stopped and insulted. Where are you going? Where did you come from? You can't move without being interrogated. Another time I was held at a checkpost, and a bunch of students from my university went by. They all said, "What is Boxer doing there?" They called me that because I was an athlete. These kind of things hurt me a lot. My friends told me they all suffered these kinds of things. We were always feeling humiliated because we were Sikhs. And as I was already in contact with the militants, I decided to actively join them. This situation was intolerable. Although Lottiwal was in the Khalistan Liberation Force, I myself became involved in the Khalistan Commando Force. As I said, I was an athlete, and being an athlete I was very popular amongst our student community. Some of the other athletes who were involved in the militancy, started coming to me for help. Eventually I came to know all the boys from the KCF in our region. Some were later martyred, and some are still active. They all used to come to me. My father did not really support the Khalistani militancy, but he did approve of my decision to join. He said to me, "You know I will like anything you decide to do, but always do it in accord with your character. You belong to the Sikh community, and being a Sikh you should never do anything wrong. People should not say of you that as a Sikh you are doing wrong." After he understood what was going on, he never stopped me from being active in the movement. I knew my own religious beliefs, and I knew why we were doing what we did. Everybody was suffering from the police. It was very clear to me that the whole thing was based on justice and religious values, and I was never afraid or doubtful. I accompanied Hardip Singh Deepa, when he punished one of those pseudo-cults which were very offensive to Sikh religion, among other missions in which I was involved. Before we went on a mission, we would pray, "O Guru, give us success in our mission. Nothing wrong should happen from our hands during this mission." And part of our prayer was, "O Guru, if death comes to me in this mission, let me die in a brave manner, and let me never show my back and never get scared." Then when we would come back from a mission, even if it was a total success, we would analyze the whole thing. Had we made any mistakes? Was any innocent person harmed? We always did this, each time. I was never in any action in which an innocent person was killed. On the contrary, sometimes we let somebody escape rather than harming an innocent person. One time we were going after Pinky Cat, a notorious government informer, but although he came within our range, we would have hurt others around him if we had fired. So we thought it would be better to let him go than to hurt the others. As far as this part goes, our struggle will never justify the killing of innocents. We can gather our strength and try again and again, but whatever gives a black name to our movement, we should never do that. Most of the militants I knew were really nice people from college. A lot of them were athletes, and they were famous personalities quite dear to the people. Even the professors of the colleges respected and loved them. Anyway, in the KCF, the zones were divided up and different people were put in charge of different zones. They were charged with punishing criminals who went in the guise of militants in those zones, bringing a black name to the movement. They would get a warning first, then they would be shot. In the zones where these KCF activists were present, nobody could trouble the people. I will give an example of this. One thing that used to happen was that criminal elements or even police would extort money from people in the name of the militants. One time in Shercote village, we actually caught some police officials who had written a letter to an agricultural family, demanding 700,000 rupees. The letter was in the name of the militants, and it stated a place and time where they would pick up the money. This family contacted a Granthi, and the Granthi happened to be in contact with a militant, Sukhwinder Singh Bowler. He checked with Sukhwinder as to whether the letter was genuinely from the militants, and he was shocked to find out it was not. Sukhwinder then asked me to be there at the time and place when the money was to be collected. Since I knew all the real militants in our region by sight, I could recognize whether any of them were involved. We thought that if the people who came for the money were by chance genuine, we could talk with them about this very large amount they demanded. If they were fakes, we could catch them or kill them. When we had raked the place, we took our positions and we saw a constable from Lata Kothi jail enter. He was known to be a torturer, and was already in fact on our hit list. He was with another fellow, and they both entered with great confidence. Meanwhile, we had told this family to prepare packages of rupee notes, with 100 rupee notes on top and bottom but paper in between, so that they might be thought to be complying with the demand. The two came inside and sat down on a cot, asking the ladies to bring milk. Then the four of us who were watching entered the house. They got real scared as soon as they saw us. They tried to run away, but we grabbed them. Then we summoned the village mayor, and gathered all the villagers to show them these bad people. They even had police identity cards with them. Then, after showing them to the villagers, we took them to a lonely place and punished them, killed them, as they deserved that killing. This action brought us the appreciation of all the villagers. We then set up a network among the villagers, to keep an eye on happenings in the area, and to tell us if any such things happened again. When we took that torturer and extortionist off to kill him, he knew he was in for it, and he wet his pants. He was crying until his last moment, saying that after today he would never do anything wrong again. But we had warned him many times before, and he didn't desist from his wrongdoing. So we shot him. We let his body lie there on the road. As this guy was an important official, his death was reported as an ambush by terrorists. He got a state cremation and all the senior officials came to it, and gave him a salute. He was honored as a great man. People gave us money for the cause, but we also sometimes looted cash from banks or government offices. One time we had robbed the electricity department office in Bhumi village, and the police started chasing us. Me and my friend Shotu had only two weapons with us, one was a kind of homemade revolver, and the other was a gun with 28 bullets in it. Shotu was driving a scooter and I was sitting on the back, and the police were chasing us. Shotu, I said, the police are chasing us and we don't have enough ammunition with us. What can we do? He said, just don't get restless, just wait. We don't have enough ammunition. But when we saw that the police were not giving up the chase, we realized we had to do something. They would have informed the police checkpost by wireless, and soon we would find ourselves surrounded by police jeeps from all directions. At that time it was the harvesting season, and the fields were wet. We jumped off the scooter, pushed it to one side, and hid in the field. As the police who were chasing us approached, we threw a burst of fire toward them. They turned their vehicle around immediately. It was really lucky for us. As long as police think you don't have weapons, they are very determined. When they hear bullets, they get scared. Shotu and I had other escapes too. One time four of us were in Bhatinder, and we were wearing kurta pajama, indigenous dress, like the villagers. Shotu had a gun in a small bag. A police truck came toward us, and stopped just a few steps away. Shota drew out that gun, and when the police saw it, they started firing. We ran away and entered a narrow street. Luckily for us there were some animals crowding the street, so the police couldn't enter with their truck. 3 of us ran into a house nearby. The lady of the house saw that we had weapons, and we quickly told her, "Sister, the police are chasing us. We need your scooter." This lady was not frightened even 1%. She brought out the keys of the scooter, but before handing them over she said, "Brothers, just wait here. I will go out first and check that the police are not outside." She checked and then told us, "Okay, brothers, it is safe now, you can go." 3 of us piled onto the scooter, and Shota was holding the gun. We saw a checkpoint of the Central Reserve Police Force up ahead. When the CRPF officers saw Shota's gun, they started running helter-skelter for safety. The 4th boy, who had run into another house, found ladies at home. At first they were all scared. Our friend told them, "Sisters, I am in danger as I don't have a weapon, and the police are after me. If you can give me a scooter that would be fine, otherwise I'll go back out and see what I can do." The ladies were scared though. At first they were silent and then one said, "Son, don't go out." She took the boy inside, and took some quilts out of a big box and told him to get inside that box. She then put the quilts on top of him. The police cordoned off that area and started a house-to-house search. They came in that house too, but they didn't open the quilt box. Our friend stayed there the whole night, and in the morning those ladies gave him money to buy a bus ticket. That's how we 4 all got away. When people know that we are genuine freedom fighters, they help us. They give us everything. But some people pretend to be freedom fighters when they are not, and that's how people come to mistrust us. If somebody comes into your house with a weapon, you don't know whether he is good or bad. One thing that really concerns me is the families of those who have been killed through all these years. Our first priority used to be to fulfill their needs, and only if money was left would we spend it on our own needs. One time we were very short of money, and we looted 900,000 rupees from a bank in Ludhiana. Shota said, "Now is the time we'll have to decide to do this, or we'll die of hunger." Me and Shota and another activist of KCF, entered the bank with an assault rifle that had a drum magazine. At one time it could fire 300 rounds, and it has a long range as well. With that gun, the whole operation was over in 5 minutes. We had enough money for everybody who needed it. I was really in love with Shota. He was not actually in favor of my going underground with him. "Stay at home," he used to tell me. "It's a very hard life outside. We have to sleep in fields, we have no homes. It's not only through combat that people are of service. We need those who give shelter and take of us too. You are an educated man, you should stay at home and help us in other ways." But I didn't go along with this talk. I left my academic and sports careers, and joined Shota and the others in field action. Now that Shota has been martyred, if I ever hear somebody say something bad about him, I get very angry. Nirmal Singh Shota Nima, he belonged to a poor family, and he was the eldest brother. He used to say that if he got killed, who would take care of the family? Once he told me, "Brother, I know that if I die, my family might starve, but even knowing that, I have to tread upon this difficult path." It is true that his family is now suffering because of his martyrdom. That's why I want to tell his story, so that the whole world knows about how great he was. There was another martyr who has gotten a bad name because people concocted false stories about him. That was Dr. Dashpreet Singh, and let me tell you that people in his village loved him so much they are now constructing a hospital in his name. I would like to tell you something about this man, because these smears on his name should be erased. One time there was a meeting of top militants, about 14 of them. They were surrounded by a police cordon and were fired on from all sides. Dr. Dashpreet was able to break through that cordon and get out, but his friend Rupinder Singh Dial, was badly hurt by bullets and couldn't get away safely. Dr. Dashpreet came back for him, and Dial, who was badly wounded, told him, "For God's sake, you get out of here. I will stay and fight until my last breath, but you get away." Dr. Dashpreet reminded him that they had both joined the movement on the same day, and had both gone into hiding together, and he said that they should both die together too. He told Dial, "You do not have enough strength to fire, so you just keep loading the gun and handing it to me." Dashpreet and Dial fought for 6 hours on that spot. The place was surrounded by a huge crowd of police and paramilitary personnel, and in the end 16 of them were killed. This never came in the news though. Anyway, after 6 hours, the two of them hid inside an electric motor. The police brought a bulletproof tractor in, and they blasted that motor apart. That was how Dashpreet and Dial got martyred. So both of them were dead within 45 days of joining the movement. Dr. Dashpreet had already been severely tortured many times, but he had never told anything. He used to help everybody, like one time Shoto needed surgery because he was wounded in his foot, and he went to Dr. Dashpreet and got help for that. The beauty of Dr. Dashpreet's character was known by everybody around. No one in our district of Ludhiana or in our university could ever believe he had done anything wrong. I want to write all these stories down myself someday, because I want to carry on the memories of Ladiwal, Shotu, Dashpreet, and others. They were great and dedicated people, and I am in such pain when people say they were terrorists or something. I knew them closely, and I want the record to be straight. As for me, I feel ashamed that I left my academic and sports careers to join the struggle, but in the struggle also, I didn't reach the point where I could have sacrificed myself. I am bothered that I couldn't really attain satisfaction in either field, either in ordinary life or that of a militant. This is always in my mind, and that is why I will certainly go back at some point. We need to keep the faith of the people alive, and they need to know that there are still militants ready to defend them. Dormitory room at college too. Ladiwal was a deeply devout Sikh, and he had a profound intellect. In conversing with him, I learned so much, and I felt the pull of the mission for which he was working. The biggest attraction for me was that, although Ladiwal was living through the rigors of a very strenuous underground life, he was a baptized Sikh, and his commitment to Guru was total. His tremendous energy went to Guru and to the movement, both. Ajmer Singh Ladiwal was also a very moral person. One of the things characteristic of him was that he always gave a warning, he openly challenged somebody before punishing him for his misdeeds. One important case involved the station house officer of Bagabarana, who was a Hindu. This SHO had insulted Ladiwal, but he went for any action, the High Command would discuss it among themselves, whether a thing was morally right or not. The only criterion they used was Sikh values. Never was anything that went against Sikh values decided. The first time I got arrested, I wasn't even really active in the movement. Some students from Punjabi University had told under torture, that I might know where Ajmer Singh Ladiwal was, so I was picked up after practice one day. I was thrown into the back of a jeep and taken to headquarters in Ludhiana. While they were driving the jeep, I was lying on the floor with my hands tied behind my back, and the officers were kicking me and pushing me around with their rifle butts. When we got to the headquarters, they took my sword away and stripped me naked, held me by the Wale, I mean the girl was in love with him but he was just playing around. But Ladiwal told him, "You have no right to fool around with the sentiments of that girl. Either you marry her, or I'll kill you." The friend said, "How can I marry her, she is of the lowest class." And Ladiwal said, "When you started fooling around with her, was she of the high class then?" Anyway, the friend did marry that untouchable girl, and Ladiwal paid all the marriage expenses, the dowry that should have come from her side and all. They are still living happily. Ladiwal eventually became the Lieutenant General of the Khalistan Liberation Force, under Bhai Avtar Singh Brahma. Bhai Gurcharan Singh Bud Singh Wala was a lieutenant general with him. It was the policy that before any Gurcharan Singh. My mother was a deeply religious person, but my father used to be involved in the Naxalite movement. From one aspect the Naxalites were justified, as they were fighting for the downtrodden. But, as they were atheists, I always thought the ideology was incomplete. Without God, how could they have achieved any real change? My father used to talk with me and my friends about many things like this. As for me, I became involved in the Khalistan movement through my close friend Ajmer Singh Ladiwal. Another friend of his got martyred in the struggle, and Ladiwal had to go into hiding. For this, he came to me, and my house was a safe hiding place for him. He used to come to my father, he had pulled his beard and humiliated him. So Ajmer challenged him. "I'll kill you," he said. That Sho accepted his challenge and retorted, "You are my prey, wherever you are, I will hunt you down and get you." But Ajmer Singh Ladiwal killed him right in front of the police station, in full view of everybody. My friend was very brave. He always gave people a chance to change, if they were behaving in an inappropriate way. He gave them 2 warnings, 3 warnings. But when they refused to change, he had the courage to finish them off. I will tell you one other story about the high values of Ajmer Singh Ladiwal. One of his friends had a love affair with a girl from the untouchable class. It was not genuine love actually.